A lot of the time with my work, I tend to just sort of portray what I'm feeling at that moment, or sometimes it's how I want to feel and who I want to be. And I think a lot of my characters are a reflection of myself unconsciously. There was a point where people started to ask me why I painted myself so much, and I just thought, like, I'm never trying to do that. But I think everything I paint is a self-portrait, whether it's an animal or a girl or anything. Everything I paint is some kind of reflection of myself. And in turn, it's sort of reflecting how I want to feel or some part of me that I want to come forward. Other times, you know, when I paint animals, I just feel like I love them. So I don't know if that's just like loving myself in a way, but they're just so cute that I'm like, I love you. So that's kind of why I paint animals. My name's Taylor Brookman, I'm from Melbourne and I'm a muralist. The kind of art that I do is a lot of figurative work and animals with a focus on colour palette. I've always made art since I was a kid, and after high school I studied 4 years of visual arts and illustration, and I went on to exhibit for years as well, and then I started painting murals and sort of evolved my work to a larger scale. I started playing video games when I was a kid. I remember that my earliest memories of video games would be watching my dad play Tomb Raider and like Flight Simulator. It goes all the way back to early childhood for me, but I've got some real favourite games that I've been playing in the last few years. My all-time favourite, I think, would be The Last of Us. I really like Uncharted. Tomb Raider is a classic for me. I really liked Hellblade, and then of course something close to my heart is Spyro the Dragon for sure. So Fungies is a website where you can customise your own gaming avatar and use it on your preferred gaming platform. I created a samurai character, and she's kind of got this strong and gentle energy, but she's a little bit punk as well. And to design it, I referenced a lot of sort of old samurai attire. I also looked at Ghost of Tsushima for some inspiration, which is like the art is amazing on that game. And the premise of it is that I've created these layers for people to customize their own avatar and create their own character from my art, something that they might relate to or their gaming persona might relate to, and every avatar that is made is a unique avatar, so it can only be owned by one person. So that's kind of what makes it special, that everyone creates their own unique character and own story with the art that I've provided. To start this character, I did a sketch in my sketchbook of just the base body. So that's like the character with no hair, no clothes or anything. And then I put that on Procreate and I started to do sort of like sketches over the top of that of different hair ideas, different clothing ideas, facial expressions. And from that point, I moved it into a new file and started doing more refined versions of those sketches. For the character, I had 7 different trait categories, and then within that I would do 10 versions of those traits. So that's 10 different outfits, 10 different hairs, 10 different facial expressions, 10 different weapons, and in each file I would have maybe 40 layers, and then I would, just to sort of test them, I'd kind of copy and paste and swap them into different layers just to see if they would match and if the colours would match, if they'd sit together properly. It was different to my mural work because I was just focusing on one character and sort of creating multiple versions of it. Whereas when I paint a mural, it's just the one character. Pretty much with every piece that I do, I start with a sketch in my book. So originally, my expressions are quite small, and then when I make a mural, I tend to make them pretty big. So it's a totally different experience to fulfill an artwork at that scale versus fulfilling an artwork on a small scale. It feels sort of like a mural is just like an evolution in one direction of my work, and digital illustration is an evolution in a different direction. And they both have their pros and cons, but on the iPad it gets very focused, and you know, people are going to see it this close, you know, on their screens, on their computer or on their phone. With a mural, they're probably going to be maybe 10 meters away from it, but it's going to be huge. So the end product you got to think about it in a different way. And I think on a wall you can get away with a little bit more rough sort of textures and marks, but on a digital illustration you kind of want it to be pretty refined. And I think that's a pretty different way of looking at what I'm making, even though I'm pretty perfectionist with everything that I do, but it is a bit looser on a large scale wall. When someone's using the Fungies website, they have all the layers available to them and they can mix and match the different traits. They can also randomize it, but the experience for them, in a way, they get to express something through the character that they make, and they get to create their own story with the work that I've provided. So we really want people to connect with the character that they make in whatever way that might be. Maybe, similar to me when I make my art, maybe it's going to express something that they feel on the inside or something that they want to be, or it might more relate to their character in the game. So I'm kind of just facilitating the gamer's experience of creating a character. I'm providing the work for them to express whatever they want to with it. I haven't actually seen every combination of traits because there's too many. There could be like 1 million combinations that you could make out of these traits. And in that way, it's definitely a collaborative experience where I'm providing the art and then the gamer is creating their version of it, and I don't know what that's going to look like. I've never seen them all together. I have a good feeling that everything that everyone makes is going to look really cool, but I would love to see people's avatars live on their platform and see the different ones that people have intentionally created for themselves and the potential that my work has that I didn't even know could be there, I'm really excited to be a part of this Fungies project, and I can't wait to see all the variations of my character that people can create.